this series, or we want to start the series to address some of the chapters in my book. The book is called, I need this word, A Personal Journey into Dementia. We started the series with how things are going to be changing when you have a change in your life, such as cancer, certainly dementia, or other debilitating diseases, loss of a loved one, even loss of a pet. For this book is the first edition. It's available in Kindle and on Amazon paperback. You may notice that the writing is purposely large. The book itself is in a larger format. I've done this purposely because I know as we age, small print becomes harder to read. Particularly, I've found that for me. And so I wanted to do it in a large font, which unfortunately drives up the cost. You squeeze lots of words into a little book, and it costs less. But it is laid out in a chapter by chapter format. You could read it like Reader's Digest for those of us that are older. Each chapter is, I think, easy to read and get through and take something from it. Although I'm not advocating that this is bathroom literature, but it certainly is easy to get through chapter by chapter. And as time goes on, as you get through it, I think you'll get good lessons out of each chapter. Today we're going to talk about getting to acceptance. After you've been given a change in your life, like cancer or some other change in your life, such as dementia, loss of a loved one, etc. Unfortunately, this also applies to those who might have other bad news from the doctor. Unfortunately, also, that bad news, at least in my experience, happens far too often on Fridays. Then you have to wait the whole weekend to find out exactly what's going on and to try to fill in the gap of your understanding of what you're struggling with and what's going on. The challenge of this tied to grief is it gets our mind working, right? We start checking Dr. Google and we start imagining the major changes this is going to come about in our life. In this next series of six items, 6 chapters, we're going to discuss how to manage the grief that comes along with the end goal being acceptance of our new situation, for lack of better words. The last stage in understanding is making the step beyond acceptance, where we're going to call this getting beyond acceptance to having purpose. Purpose can also be called living in the moment day by day. It's something that we want to strive to and not get wallowed into just living with apathy and acceptance. This sounds a bit dramatic to those who have lost loved ones. It applies to those who have even lost a job or a pet. We know pets are part of our family. It applies to all kinds of dramatic changes in our life expectancy. In my book and the blogs, I've covered the 6 steps you need to get through the grief cycle and how to get to acceptance. The whole process is called the phase of grief. It's divided into 6 stages, and you may hear it under different terms. There's lots of terms out there in Google, um, um, but the formats are basically the same. But personally, I've added a seventh goal, and I don't think that you should stop just at acceptance. I think that you need that seventh step that goes beyond acceptance and goes into performing and moving to a positive attitude that gets you to living in the present moment. By being in the present moment day by day, I mean having purpose, being that person that your loved ones or the others that cross your path in your life you want to be. Because our plans in life change sometimes, not in the way we want them to, but we experience of loss of expectation. If you were planning a worldwide trip or going to some foreign lands, and all this, or spending time with your grandchildren, circumstances in your health can change and make it impossible for you to enjoy the things that you had planned on doing. In this video, we're going to cover getting through the everything from understanding the source of the grief to walking through the 6 steps of understanding grief and starting to that new life where we're dealing with the journey to acceptance. For me, the diagnosis of dementia was a real jolt. Obtaining a disease or a loss of a loved one is also the same thing, obviously. I can't begin to put them on the same plane, but my mind was what made me who I am, and losing it was a real jolt to me personally. For others, it's their career, and that helps them to define who we are. Unfortunately, when your doctor defines what's going on with you, they tend to focus then immediately on the treatment. And that's not wrong. That's what they want to do. They want to either have you live a better life with what's going on with you, or obviously they want to heal you. The same thing applies to dementia. There are lots of situations that are helpful to learn. And we're going to cover those again in the next 6 steps. Going beyond the 6 steps to my 7th step, which is living a positive life, is also something that is not trivial. You have to want to go beyond it. In my case, when I was told that I have dementia, I spent the first month literally just laying in bed and going over what was happening to me, the changes in my expectations of what I thought we were going to do. We were planning on travel, going to Japan, lots of different things. All of that changed with the diagnosis of dementia. I think for people who are diagnosed with cancer, the same can be true. Although hopefully with our advancements in cancer, a lot of that can be changed, and you can beat it. I pray that you can. So for me also, I have acquired an understanding of the 6 stages of grief. It came from my training in Stephen's ministry. It also came from my experience in consulting and helping others get through grief. And when you try to help someone get through grief, it's not about helping them or teaching them or whatever. It's mainly about listening and to be there for them. It took me quite a bit of time, in fact, to come to that reality and to recognize that's what is really, really needed. The first thing of the first thing in the series is called understanding. Unfortunately, like I said, when you go to your doctor, he gives you a diagnosis, whether it's cancer, whatever it is. Let's face it, even if you go to Dr. Google, what you're going to find is a lot of clinical information or information about the caregiver, all which is important, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't tell you how it's going to affect you in the first month, the second month, the first year, etc. And for me, my first diagnosis was in February of 2020. A lot has changed since that diagnosis has changed, come along. We're going to talk about that later after we get through this 6 sessions. What's changed with me? What are the changes in dementia? Christy, my wife, is going to join me on that. I'm going to have a couple others join me in the next few weeks as well. The struggle with change and the news that's brought about, not only to your life or my life, is the effect on your loved ones. When faced with this form of grief, this form of change, the bottom line is that it's not going to happen in a way that you want. Yes, there are some people who, quite frankly, go to bed one night and have a heart attack and don't wake up the next morning. And the people, though, that suffer, the people that go through grief, isn't the person who is experiencing the loss of life, loss of expectation. It is the wife, the children, other loved ones, etc. Um, for Christy and I, travel was a big deal. Enjoying our grandchildren is a big deal. I wanted to be part of their life. I wanted to be there as they grew up. I realize now that those things are changing, and that change, in fact, has at one point brought deep depression to me and a deep sense of loss. Um, every time I go to the VA, the standard question is, how do you feel in terms of, do you think about taking your life, or taking yours and someone else's? I mean, that's their standard question. They have to ask those questions, and I appreciate that. Fortunately, VA has been very helpful for me in providing me with psychologist and a psychiatrist, and those things can help you get through that. But there also are other organizations that can provide the same type of service. The bottom line, though, is God has a plan for all of us, and sometimes it doesn't seem obvious. Let's face it. Sometimes it feels like, why is this happening to me? Why would God allow me to lose a loved one? Or why am I suffering with an incurable disease? But I realized through my Stevens ministry training that I personally can't solve that problem. That I knew that to get through this change in my life, the dealing with what's happening with me, I needed to go through the 6 steps in the process if I was going to get from just hearing about it to accepting it. So the other thing I want to make sure that you understand is it didn't just happen to me. It happened to the people in my life. It happened to my loved ones, my caregiver, which is my wife, Christy, my love of my life for 45 years, my family, my friends, my children, and my good friends as well. And a good friend of mine, Becky, pointed out to me that's my tribe. Now, I would have probably said, there's an old saying, it takes a village. Well, that's my tribe. Maybe you could say, jokingly, that's my posse. But more importantly, those are the people that make a great difference in my life and help me get through this. They didn't solve my problem for me. No one's going to solve my problem for me, but they were there all through the process, and they were there to be by my side, not to solve the problem, but to give me comfort and to let me know that they cared for me. Um, the next thing that I'd like to conclude with is that the best way to get through it, from my experience, is to put your faith in God. And it's not enough just to pray. The Bible teaches us that we should pray constantly, but prayer without action is meaningless. With your prayer, you need to put action into getting to acceptance. You need to ask God for that power. You need to ask your friends to help you. And you need to have an attitude of feeling that you are not persecuted or that you did something wrong or simply poor me. The answer is either that I have come to is that you need to rely on the resources that you have to help you. And I know that's hard for some people. Some of us have been and always will be and want to be self-sufficient. So relying on others is a new journey in their life. But together, you and they will go through it. I've gone through it with some great friends and great family and people who understand and have listened since my diagnosis. Yep, they're my tribe. That group of friends, those people who love me but are not trying to fix me, they are my tribe. For that reason, I'm sure that you, like or me in most cases, probably have friends and family like that. And I hope that you find in God your true north. My teacher and Rabbi Jesus taught me my first job was to love God with all my heart and to love others as myself. If I'm going to be that person that helps other people and has a purpose here on life, this is when God can find time to help me find my way, not just to acceptance, but to finding purpose. To be in the moment, to be on a day-to-day basis with the things that are around me, and to know that I'm here for a reason. These are my thoughts for today. I hope that you'll remember them and that they'll help you if you're going through this type of change in your life, from deep despair to answers that can lead you to acceptance and fulfillment. So again, this is Ted signing off from Dementia Talks and Wandering Light. You can always get to my videos on YouTube on Dementia Talks. It helps to put quotations around it. It just so happens on YouTube, there's lots of people who talk about dementia, but my YouTube site is called Dementia Talks. So the easiest way is to use those quotes. You can also find out more information on Wandering Light or DementiaTalks.com. There are a lot of ways that DementiaTalks.net. I did it myself. It's supposed to be .net. There are lots of ways that you can get the same information that I'm giving you. Teepa Snow, who I work with, and enjoy her fellowship, and her organization's fellowship is a great organization. She's also on YouTube. You'll find her information near where mine is. So if you're out there on YouTube and you do go to Dementia Talks, you won't find Teepa far away. Teepa's call in life is to help people to understand and care for people with dementia. And it's been a blessing for me to work with her. And I think the other blessing is the comments that I get from people that go to my site, not just to me, but to others, in things that can be said to help and support each other. So this is Ted. I'm signing off now, and I'm hoping that you have had a great and wonderful day, and God bless.